Diabetes type 1 and diabetes type 2 are yet unsolved medical needs in the Western world. And there's a huge need to understand those diseases much better, because until now there's no specific treatment for any diabetic complication. And since we define diabetes by its blood glucose levels and end products like HbA1c, one would think that lowering these parameters to normal would totally prevent diabetic complications. But recent studies have indicated that in type 2 diabetes, the combination of diabetes duration plus HbA1c explains only 11% of diabetic complications, which means that almost 90% are not understood. At the same time, the absolute risk reduction in diabetic nephropathy of patients with type 2 diabetes by lowering glucose in the UK-PDS study was less than 1%. Thus, there is a huge need for research in order to improve the outcome of our patients. But since we now learned that the blood levels of metabolites do not correlate very well with diabetic complications, we need to understand the organs. Therefore, we have assembled a crew of experts in Heidelberg, experts for each different organ affected by diabetes. Experts which are knowledgeable in biochemistry and cell biology. Experts which can understand how acquired errors of metabolism, not in the plasma, but rather in the cell, can affect DNA, RNA, and protein function, how these acquired errors of metabolism can change a cell function so that at the end a whole organ dies off. Loss of kidney function, myocardial infarction, stroke, and neuronal damage, as well as pulmonary dysfunction, are some of the most important diseases related to diabetes. Since we now understand in part how reactive metabolites induce those processes, we have accomplished a CRC which is divided in 3 parts. Part 1 is, how do reactive metabolites accumulate and how are they produced? Part 2, how do reactive metabolites change a cell function and finally lead to organ dysfunction? And part number 3 is our hope for the future. How can our understanding lead us to find new therapies for late diabetic complications? This CRC is working interactive and very actively, and already accomplished to generate several patents, but not only patents leading the way to new treatment, but rather also we have changed the paradigm of several diabetic complications, which we understand now on a very different level than it was before. Thus, more than 20 groups being actively cooperating in Heidelberg are going to change a little bit the world of diabetes.